Oh,
Okay. Well, me as the first speaker, so.
okay. Are my opponents ready? Are my partners ready? Is my partner ready? Okay, then I will begin. Um, my partner and I stand in firm affirmation on the following resolution. On balance, societies benefit from religious beliefs and practices. Subpoint 1, charity. Religion has been shown to spark generosity and encourage charitable givings around the world, as put by Washington Post. Organized religious traditionally played a major role on charitable works. Christian and Muslim organizations have long established schools, hospital, and social services organization. Catholic Charities USA reported that it has spent more than $4 billion to serve over 10 million people in 2013 alone. Social services have similarly been central focus on Islamic social and political mobilization for decades. And according to a 2020 study by the Giving USA Foundation, donations are the religion category tolerated more than 131.08 billion last year, just up 1%. This evidence shows the scale and impact of religious charities. Religions such as Buddhism, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism are among the most prominent contributors. In addition to these numbers, findings produced the National Study of American Religious Given state that 73% of Americans giving goes to the religious related organizations. This study captured the wider swath of religious givings, not just to church entities, but also to religious affiliated organizations like Catholic Charities and the Salvation Army. The study pointed out to religious people and give because of religion. If religion compels followers to donate billions of dollars to education, healthcare, and social services, as shown through our evidence, there's no denying it. And it has positive, substantial effect, even on those who are not even those who do not directly follow religious practices. Subpoint 2, health. The presence of religious in day-to-day life has been shown to increase the wellness of those who participate, from the mental to physical health. Beginning with direct linkage to physical health, evidence shows that religious people tend to avoid activities harmful for their well-being, as put by Forbes magazine. Caring for one's physical body is emphasized in many faiths, including Judeo-Christianity. This leads many individuals to taking better care of their bodies by abstaining from drinking, prioritizing medication, and not partaking in activities that have negative consequences to the body. This claim is supported by Pew Research Center, which is found in a worldwide survey. In the US and elsewhere, actively religious people are less likely than others to engage in certain behaviors that are sometimes viewed as sinful, such as smoking tobacco and drinking alcohol. In addition to physical effects, there are also overwhelming evidence shows link between religious and mental health. The aforementioned Pew research continues, whatever the explanation may be, there is more than 1/3 actively religious US adults describe themselves as very happy, compared to 1/4 of both inactive and unaffiliated Americans across 25 other countries for which data are available. Actives actives report being happier than unaffiliated by statistically significant margin, and almost half 12 countries are happier than inactively adults, and roughly 1/3, 9 of the religious countries. The gaps are often striking. In Australia, for example, 45% of actively religious adults say that they are very happy, compared to 32 of inactive and 33 of unaffiliated. There are no in country which the data shows that actives are significantly less happy than others. Religion can also promote happiness. According to the Heritage Foundation, a religious practice promotes the well-being of others, family, and community. Of a particular note are the studies that indicate the benefits of religion to the poor, regular attendance to religious services, is linked to healthy, stable life, strong marriages, and well-behaved children. The practice of religion also leads to the reduction in inconcise of domestic abuse, crime, substance abuse, and in addiction. Oh, that's my time. Okay.
All right, now I'll be moving into the speech where I just present my partner's cases or case. Are my opponents ready? Is my partner ready? All right, then I'll begin in 3, 2, 1. I send in strong negation of the resolution resolved. On balance, societies benefit from religious beliefs and practices. When looking at the overall effect of religion on society, becomes clear that it has been used to marginalize minorities and justify atrocities. While not all religious people are bad, religious beliefs and practices have severely hindered social progress. The only stance is that of the negation. Before continuing, I want to make it clear that when discussing this topic, it's not just individuals that we are discussing. When talking about society, you must examine at its history. When looking at an individual societal impact, while relevant, an individual has little effect. It is the organizations, the big churches, and other such things that have the greatest amount of impact. And we can see, repeated throughout history, it is a negative one. Contention 1, genocide in the name of God. 54.5% of the world subscribes to Abrahamic religions, and it is those religions that have the greatest amount of impact, those being Christianity, Catholicism, Islam, Judaism, etc. And of that 54.5%, 31.5% are Christian. Pew Research Center, the Global Religious Landscape. It is because of this that most of the information provided will be concerning the Christian/Catholic Church. With Christianity being the most widespread and followed religion, it is easy to see that it has great influence on people and in turn politics. However, sometimes the action not taken has the greatest amount of impact. During World War II, the Catholic Church failed to speak out against the atrocities committed against Jewish individuals, even when provided with first-hand accounts of this. Quote, although there were individual resistors, many mainstream Protestant and Catholic Church leaders made numerous compromises with Nazi authorities and supported many of the Nazi measures throughout the period, end quote. By not only failing to dissent the Nazis, but outwardly supporting them, Christianity teaches their followers that these atrocities are acceptable in the eyes of God. Religion has played a major role in a lot of the world's genocide/genocidal acts. According to Oxford Research Encyclopedias, quote, among the genocidal acts inspired by political religions based on sacred texts are the St. Bartholomew's Day Massacre, the sack of Magdeburg, the British Civil War in Ireland and Bosnia. With these few examples, you get a total of 192,300 lives lost in the name of religion. That's the entirety of Los Angeles County. And this is just 4 examples out of the long track record between society and religion. Not only is Christianity one of the most followed religions, it's one that has been historically used to justify the wants and needs of the oppressor. Ephesians 6:5-8, Paul, quote, slave be obedient to your human masters with fear and trembling and sincerity of heart as to Christ, end quote. This isn't the only example of Christianity justifying slavery or other things along those lines. It was religion, or more specifically Christianity, that gave Europeans the justification to colonize and exploit Africa. And with the colonization, we see the beginning of the transatlantic slave trade. Due to this direct correlation, it is apparent that religion is at least partly responsible for the estimated 60 million who died during the transatlantic slave trade. With the colonization of Africa and the transatlantic slave trade came the colonization of the Americas, and with that came the native genocide. During that time, 90% of the native population died from foreign diseases and at the hands of the colonizers. Between the years of 1492 and 1900, it was estimated that roughly 12 million indigenous people died as a direct result of colonization. David Michael Smith counting the dead. And it wasn't just their lives that they took, it was also their land, culture, and entire way of life, forced to leave behind their spirituality and beliefs to follow Christianity. But however, this wasn't just seen in early colonial times. In 2021, at least 1,000 unmarked graves were found in Canada's residential schools, and there are still being more discovered today. In the 19th and 20th century, 150,000 Native children were separated from their families and were put into 150 Canadian residential schools, according to David Love from the Washington Post. Quote, thousands of children died, 4,100 according to Canada's Truth and Reconciliation Commission on the residential schools, although the number may have actually been as high as 15,000. And we can only imagine the trauma these children experienced, including those who were forced to bury their classmates and build their coffins. In these residential schools, the kids will be forced to cut their hair, a source of spirituality for the natives, stop speaking their native language, and convert to Christianity, as well as live in inhumane living conditions. These children would also suffer at the hands of those who ran the school, this being nuns, priests, and other such holy men, as a majority of these residential schools were Catholic. This suffering ran from physical, mental, and even sexual abuse. The goal of these schools was to Christianize, civilize, and assimilate the native people. And it wasn't just Canada. The United States had its own system of 367 residential schools from 1860 all the way up until 1978. With this, we see how Christianity had played a major role in the liquidization of Indigenous people and culture. More than 4 generations of Indigenous people were taken from their families and systematically robbed of their culture, heritage, language, and religion. For many, what remains are isolated fragments of shattered unity, a sense of rootlessness and alienation, internalized self-hatred, and the oppressive weight of intergenerational trauma. Quote, from the earliest colonial days, violently clearing the land of Indigenous people, like slavery, was critical to the formation of the country. And as with slavery, Christianity played an instrumental role in advancing violence against Indigenous communities. 3 papal edicts, known together as the Doctrine of Discovery, provided religious justification for colonial conquest and exploitation of non-Christian people and paved the way for the West African slave trade, slavery, and Indigenous genocide. When looking at the betterment of society, it's clear that it's only achieved when everyone's needs are met, when egalitarianism is valued and prioritized. Religious belief and practices, while not inherently bad, lead to there being major backsteps in human rights and in turn social progress as a whole. Even with the countless amounts of people that say their lives was made better by religion or that God saved their lives, the endless amounts of bloodshed can never be taken away. It is for this that we must negate. And then I think we go into our 3-minute cross-sex or 4-minute, I'm not sure.
It's a 3-minute cross-sex.
Cool.
And then the AF has the first question.
I don't have a question yet. So Neg, do you want to take the first question?
Okay, and then we're also tag team cross-sex, so both you and Lillian can answer questions.
Oh, okay, perfect.
But is it okay if I start with the first question then, Connor? Okay, cool. Let me get my timer up and I'll start right now. So do you have any examples of specific religious beliefs or practices that cause people to be more charitable or have better like mental or physical health?
So for the charities, we did give religions that do have a lot of charity and that have had say that their happiness was up. And the religions are Buddhism, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. And
yeah, I think I was more so asking if you have any examples of the specific beliefs that preach these things, because the topic is talking about religious beliefs and practices and how they benefit society, right? So are there any specific beliefs that you can give examples of that cause people to be more charitable or more healthy?
I believe I do have some for Christianity in specific, if I can just pull that up real quick.
Yeah.
I can quote it after cross though for time, if that'll be like more convenient.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Okay, so the negations case is about oppression and it refers a lot to wars and genocides. Are these wars and genocides because of religion, or do they just happen to be insinuated by people who use religion as an excuse? Like, is it the fault of the religion, or is it the fault of the individuals sparking the conflict and then justifying it?
So for the example that I gave with the Bartholomew Day massacre, etc., it said among genocidal events inspired by political religions based on sacred texts. So you can kind of see that's from religion. And then it's not all about genocide. I also talk about how Christianity in specific has been used to perpetuate oppressive ideologies and just put people down. I gave an example of where directly in the Bible it justifies slavery, as well as correlations between the transatlantic slave trade and Christianity and religion in general. So
yeah, and if I could just add on to that, he also described and talked about specific practices, such as practices that they would use to assimilate Native American children into like white culture forcibly and stuff like that. And those are just practices, like it says within the resolution, that have contributed to that. Do you have
I have a question. For your thing about mental health, you talk about how religious people say that they're more happy. Does this mean, well, when we kind of look at that, I want to ask a question about specifically Christianity and how they had a lot of pushback with same-sex marriage, as well as a lot of issues with homophobia. Do you think that makes people who are into LGBTQ plus, who are religious, feel good, or kids that were raised in religion, do you think that makes their mental health better?
The affirmation can't make any broad statements without direct evidence supporting those statements. But what we can say is that our evidence shows that people who believe that they feel accepted and get community from these religious beliefs are happier, and countries that have higher rates of religious practice tend to have happier citizens. In regards to the LGBTQ community, The AF would like to bring up that not every single religious person is directly homophobic or is directly contributing to the issues that LGBTQ people face. But again, we don't have a direct source about LGBTQ happiness in relation to religion as a whole. We just have what we have in our contention.
Okay, and that's the end of, is it 4 minutes or 3?
Yeah, that's the end of cross. Right now
Okay.
we have the first affirmative rebuttal. Did you guys want to take any prep time?
I think we do want to take about a minute prep. Let me get set up and I'll tell you guys when I can start that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Good. You're good.
Okay, I'm going to begin my prep starting now. All right, I believe that was prep. Let me see. If I'm correct, this speech is, oh God, how many minutes? 3, right?
Yeah, I believe. Or wait, is it 4? It might be 4. Sorry, let me pull up the manual.
It's 4 minutes for the rebuttal.
Yeah.
Okay, that works too, my bad.
Okay.
Okay. Quick off time roadmap. I'm just going to be covering, you know, my opponent's contention as a whole, you know, refuting it, and then if time allows, going back to and supporting our own. I will begin. Let's see. All right, I will begin now. The majority of the affirmations case was on war, genocide, and oppression via religion. The NEG would like to begin this debate by saying that there is a very fine line between religion causing something and religion being used as an excuse for what is an unforgivable crime. We actually have a source about how many wars are due to religion, and it kind of does clear up some of the misconceptions that people often have. According to this source, which I believe is oregon.edu, quote, in regards to the claim that religion has been the biggest source of oppression and war in human history, the facts may surprise you. The 3-volume Encyclopedia of Wars, which records some 1,763 wars that have been waged over the course of human history, categorize only 123 as being religious in nature. This is only 6.98% of all wars. The percentage is less than half that at 3.23%. If you subtract those waged in the name of Islam, the relationship between religion and war, which skeptics have depicted, is in stark contrast to the facts. So what this is clearing up is that although religion often comes into play in human history in many instances, since religion is, it can be argued, part of human nature, what's important is the line between things caused by religion and religion being used as an excuse. The source continues to say that a large percentage of wars are on the basis of political, financial, and other disputes. Obviously, this does not excuse actions committed in the name of religion. However, we do have that source showing that most wars are not a direct result. The resolution states that we are to weigh society's benefit from religious belief and practice. As we have shown in the modern day, religion can have significant social impacts in regards to charity, in which religions, especially Judaism, Buddhism, and Christianity, are donating billions of dollars to education and healthcare and social services, which in turn is going to save lives and which is going to educate children. So we can already show that they have a major impact there. And then also sub-point 2 that we have on health. We have shown that religion is significantly helping the mental and physical health of people around the world today, and that people who do partake in religion describe themselves as happier and healthier than people who do not. So this shows that in the modern day, religion has a significantly positive impact. And if we look to the past, we can see that although there have been horrible, horrible things throughout history, it's important to definitely rethink the role religion has had in these practices. If we look at tribalism, and if we look at racism, and if we look at oppression, those things are horrible and terrible, and they have happened with and without religion. Religion is an excuse, it is not the motivator. And that is what we would like to say for the affirmation. With that in mind, we encourage a vote again in the affirmation. Thank you.
All right. I'm just going to be taking a little bit of prep time. Let me get my timer on. All right, and I'm going to start that right now. Okay, I stopped my time at 1 minute and 26 seconds, and we have 3 minutes. So that's like 1 minute and 34 seconds left. Cool. All right. Then is everyone ready? Awesome. So I'll begin my speech right now. Oh, actually, that was a lie. Right now. Okay, so going over a basic summary or recounting of the round, it's very clear why the neg has won. And so first, by doing that, I'm going to be going over each of my opponent's contentions and then reaffirming our own contentions and rebutting them as well. So first, going on to their first subpoint, which is charity. They stated that people who are religious tend to donate more to charity, but however, they didn't really provide any, and I think we forgot to do this. We were supposed to do this in cross-ex, but we'll do this after the next cross-ex. But they still have, they haven't been able to provide any examples of religious beliefs themselves being used to motivate people to donate to charity. And once that is provided, we can take that into consideration, but so far we can't. So we can't just assume that certain religious beliefs, and we have to be topical here. So we can't just assume that certain religious beliefs benefit charity. I also have this piece of evidence talking about how many religious charities fail to help anyone, and an example of this is from is in Lebanon, and this is from the University of Chicago. And it talks about how many of the organizations that have been providing such services in Lebanon are affiliated with religious institutions. Most Christian and Islamic organizations operate as non-government organizations, but simply need to give public notice. Giving to religious charities in Lebanon brings extra complications because of the way religion figures in Lebanese politics and law. A political system described as colonialism divides political and administrative offices among the different religious communities. And I'm just going to cut this evidence here. And basically what this is talking about is how these charities actually are causing more harm than good. This next piece of evidence talks about how statistics about charitable giving are distorted to favor religion. They count giving to churches themselves as part of charity. This is Meta 13, and this is from the artist Meta from 2013, or the author. It talks about how a lot of data jumps to conclusions and quote that religion and generosity were somehow connected. And it also quote says that church was counted as charity. So a lot of their data is skewed, and religion doesn't really particularly contribute to charity that much, because going to church is simply counted as charity, but it's not actually benefiting society in any way. Next, moving on to their second subpoint, which is health. This first piece of evidence is talks about how religion has negative effects on people's mental health, which goes directly against them talking about how it has a positive influence on mental health. And this is from livescience.com. It says, quote, even those devoted Catholics who aren't in the front row seat for Francis may see benefits to their belief. A slew of research has been tied to religion with better well-being and overall mental health. However, religion could also be a double-edged sword. Negative religious beliefs, for example, that God is punishing or abandoning you, have been linked with harmful outcomes, including higher rates of depression and a lower quality of life. I'm going to cut that card there and also bring in our contentions. And it's very clear that genocide and supporting Nazis and assimilating Native American children into white culture is very much not good for mental health and has had devastating impacts on mental health of many and our society in general. Our opponents talked about how most of what is happening is not due to religion, it's just due to bad people. But we provided numerous examples of specific beliefs that have led to wars and massacres. And not only that, but we've provided how religion has justified slavery, the specific beliefs. And these are all things that have had devastating impacts on our society and specific beliefs that our opponents haven't even been able to provide beliefs that back up their own contentions. So for these reasons and many more, I strongly urge a vote in the side of negation. So cross-check is next, but we're about to run out of time on the meeting. So I'm going to stop this and make another one so that, yeah, cool.